3.5 months ago, I debuted the pilot episode of a show which I intended to produce weekly on YouTube. I wasn't thrilled with everything about the first episode, but I was excited about fixing the problems I saw and getting better in the weeks to come. But the second episode never has come, and I want to talk with you about why this happened. It takes a lot of time and work to make a show of the sort that I was trying to make, as you might imagine. So the only way it could be worth doing is if I could grow it into something which paid me through YouTube's partner program, which allows people to make money from the ads that run in front of things. As you might know, Google owns YouTube, and the Google ad system sells the ads which appear on YouTube videos, the ones that most of us click skip as soon as we can. People who build audiences of even a couple 100,000 people can make a decent living producing such programming. But since it's a part of Google, one of the requirements to being a part of YouTube's partner program is having an active account in good standing with Google's AdSense platform. And here's where I ran into troubles which made it impractical for me to make YouTube content which requires much time. Back in the early days of my website, I set up a Google AdSense account and I placed a small ad on my page. I made very little money from it. Some months, $10, maybe $15, maybe $20 a month. But it was better than nothing. Then, not long after it had been operating in 2012, I received an email from Google telling me that my account had been disabled. With no explanation, the folks at Google just said, quote, "We've determined your AdSense account poses a risk of generating invalid activity. Because we have a responsibility to protect our AdWords advertisers from inflated costs due to invalid activity, we found it necessary to disable your AdSense account." When I researched what Google meant by this, I discovered that this was the company's way of saying they think people are clicking on my ads just to make money for me, not because they were interested in the ads. I filed the appeal, which Google said I could file, but it was turned down with no explanation. As I continued researching, I discovered there were many thousands of people, probably more than that, just like me, who had experienced the same thing. And I wasn't able to find anyone whose appeal was successful. Had some of my website readers clicked on my ads to help me? I have no idea. I also had nothing to do with it if anybody did such a thing, but Google's ban was final. Since there was so little money involved, I just ignored it and I switched to an Amazon ad on my page. I didn't really think that much about it. When I started preparing for this new show last spring, I thought there must be a way to get that old ban overturned. Surely, after 11 years, someone at Google would listen to me and I could monetize my new show on YouTube. I filed multiple appeals and I sent a number of emails to multiple places at both Google and YouTube. All I ever got back were vague, computer-generated form emails saying that the ban was permanent. Most of the emails didn't even address what I was asking. It was obvious that no human was reading them. Right after my pilot episode debuted, YouTube told me for the first time that my partner program membership was about to be terminated. So I didn't see a lot of reason to go ahead and put the work into finishing that second episode, I guess. Eventually, I had exhausted all of the appeals that I knew how to make, and my YouTube partner program membership was terminated in July. Of course, the email from YouTube said that all I had to do was to get my AdSense account, but Google made that impossible, and I couldn't find a human being at either YouTube or Google to talk with about it. The truth is that I was really happy with the direction I was going with that show. I had spent a tremendous amount of time and effort on the formats and the video assets, and I had made some things I was really proud of. For instance, let me show you a couple of the channel ID pieces I made. I was trying to be lighthearted and self-deprecating because I wanted to entertain people and make it clear that I didn't want to take myself too seriously. Take a look at this one.
If watching David McElroy TV causes illness lasting longer than 3 hours, please see a doctor.
Silly, I know. And here's another one.
You're watching David McElroy TV because it's the American thing to do.
I'm amused by these. Of course I am, since I made them, so I can't help sharing one more, and I promise this is the last one.
You're watching David McElroy TV. If you're still not sure why, please change to another channel.
The first show had some weak segments, but I knew that it could get stronger, and I knew I could fix the problems that I saw. But if YouTube has made it impossible for me to earn money from advertising on the show, there's no way that I could afford to invest that much time and effort into making future shows. And that's exactly why there hasn't been a second episode. Because I'm such a small fry in the Google ad ecosystem that it's not worth the company allowing some way for a relative nobody like me to find a fix for this problem. Now, if I can ever figure out a solution, I'd like to go back to the show and attack the idea with renewed energy and enthusiasm. For now, though, I'll have to stick to things that don't require too much of my time. Some of you might have noticed that I launched a new channel a few weeks ago on which I'm talking about the effects of growing up with a narcissistic father. If you have not noticed that, I will put a link in the description below. I'm writing a book about what it was like to grow up with a narcissist, and I'm making videos to discuss the things that come up as I write the book. But those are quick videos that don't require any serious production time, so they're worth doing even though I'm not allowed to make any money on YouTube. By the way, every time I mention this problem, people inevitably say, well, all you have to do is this little thing or that little thing. People who haven't actually dealt with the issue somehow feel certain they know the perfect way around it. Trust me, it's not that easy. The people at Google have years of figuring out how not to allow people to circumvent their bans. Whatever brilliant idea you have, it's been tried and it's failed for others. So unless you know of a human being at Google who has the power to fix my problem and the motivation to help make things right, please realize that it's not as easy as you might think to get around the ban. So there it is. That's the reason that nobody ever saw a second episode of the David McElroy Show. Maybe you haven't wondered. Maybe you have. If I'm ever able to find a reasonable way to monetize the show, I'll go back to it. I really wanted to do it. I was excited about it. But for now, the bureaucratic machine called Google has destroyed any hope for me to make any serious money on the YouTube platform. And there doesn't seem to be anything I can do about it.